Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, as the thing said, so far market's running in place after this initial breakout failure at move up last week. I call it a failure because of the depth of retracement. It hasn't broken down below the 20 or coming under this support. Anyway, since last week, in retrospect, we can see it's just forming a trading range for now, and which means we don't know which way it's going to go yet. Uh, see the whipsaw, the little dip in recovery on the news. So where are we at? Yesterday's high. Yesterday was a day of running in place within a larger running in place. As you can see, the hourly chart, started off like it was going to go gangbusters, hit the well, I guess they filled the gap or close to it, pretty close to it, and then down and threatened to break the low of the day all day long, went nowhere. So here we got pivot highs, pivot lows, inside the range, a little range inside the range. And this morning we're going nowhere. It's more of the same. As I said earlier in the week, we'll see where this week ends, whether it's a red bar. What happens today and tomorrow, of course, is it a red bar that closes below a prior bar's low? Which, because it's extended, does give implications of lower, but the trend is up. The significant support, you can see my cursor following down here, is not major support on the weekly chart, but it is major support on the daily chart. And yet to be seen, but if it comes down there, that'd be well, initially red deep retracement. Let's just measure that. Let's see. If it was to come down there, it's percentage wise. Our distance, our percentage. Like that. So it would be about a 4% decline, give or take, which is normal within a trend like that. If it was to come down there, then we'd look for some kind of bottoming action. Yes, I'd call it a sideways trend at that point if it came down there because of the depth of retracement. So here's your pivots. Here's your new high. That becomes major support. And so that would be an initial change to sideways. That's my own rule. Someone could say, well, it's still in an uptrend since it didn't make a lower low. But, just to be, I guess, objective about what's happening to communicate that there has been some change, whereas we say the trend is up, there's no doubt. Coming down that far, saying it's sideways is a recognition that something that implies weakness occurred. And having done this for many years in this way and keeping track of a trend matrix, it doesn't happen all the time. There are times there are big whipsaws where you get, something is in an uptrend, it goes sideways and back to an uptrend like that. But the majority of times when you get a transition, especially one that the trend that's been going up as far as this one has, when you get a transition from up to sideways, it often precedes a move to down. And because this has got two pivots here and pivots here, if prices were to break down below that low, I would change the trend to down at that point. That doesn't mean we would not have a potential viable pullback because, and that this isn't to suggest that that would happen in one fell swoop. If it did, of course, we'd all know that's very bearish and something significant would have happened. But, a break of two support levels, pivots like that, my own rule, that if it comes down and breaks through like that in a relatively quick move, I'm going to move the trend to down. And that isn't a downtrend per se, meaning, oh, is it making lower highs and lower lows? it's for my bias to look at this from the point of view of a downtrend that's going to continue to do that, which then suggests sell the next lower high. So where we're at right now is no man's land, pretty much. It's up here. It pulled back. The support, obviously, it held. So you might think sometimes, well, why the big move down if they were just going to buy it again? So earlier in the week, it's like, they just like afraid of heights. It is up here. But sometimes, prices just move in erratic ways. There's all this, the Fed guy's going to talk economic news, today and tomorrow and whatever days, and the market jiggles around. And, overall, this uptrend has done a lot of jiggling on the daily time frame where, strong move up, I guess consolidation wide, pivot highs and pivot lows. Next strong move up, pull back. That was a strong move up. Now here, more wiggling back and forth, move up, more jiggling back and forth. So as it goes up there, it's more like everybody starts thinking, has it gone too far? And so there's the uncertainty. And when patterns move like this, it communicates uncertainty versus, deep pullbacks. And then, so here's a pivot right there. And then it moves up to resistance, deep retracement, and it pulls all the way back. And then it gaps up. I think that was the NVIDIA news, gaps up. And now it's forming a consolidation, an erratic consolidation after that giant gap up, which you could say, okay, it made the new high and it came down deep again, but is that just more uncertainty? After, the big gap in the run, is it making a top? We don't know yet. We just know that it's erratic price action. So as we look at the weekly chart, we see that momentum is slowing. We don't know where today and tomorrow is going to end, but let's say it just consolidates like this or it comes down lower and we get a weak or red weekly bar. Well, and we look at that, we don't know for sure, but it would imply that it's going to break that low. And if it breaks that low, then you've got this next level of support. And that's the step-by-step process of, analyzing what is in alignment with what was in multiple time frames. So SPX hasn't been going anywhere. Strikes are not getting hit. And so I moved this up. I forget where it was yesterday. I think it moved up quite a bit. But it's up here. And what it's been day to day is the day is starting out in the middle of where the upper and lower strikes are, and they don't go near them. So, you take your pick as to which one and when you want to do it, which, is another, okay, picking, your spot in the moment rather than just, okay, just do them at the open. No, that's not what we do. But, we pick strikes where there's premium far enough away that either one initially could be considered and one might be better than the other. And look, I think the upper one today probably has higher odds of not being hit since it's above those highs there. And with Powell speaking, and he spoke yesterday, it's unlikely things are going to move significantly to the upside today. Whatever else is coming out at 10:30 about gasoline, natural gas stocks. Some other Fed guy speaking at 11:30, and there's short-term bill auctions, 4-week, 8-week. So you never know. But I think since the economic news is out already, we've got some wiggling, probably more ears, maybe whatever Powell may say could move markets a little bit. But overall, I don't know what's going to move things very much. Transports starting to get a little ugly. Starting to look like a little head and shoulders top there. Neckline's down here, so far in the middle of the range. Running in place. Nothing doing there. Let's go down the line here. Interest rates dropping precipitously, and the markets are running in place. Previous to this, the markets would be rallying. So that's, I think, kind of using up some of the bullets that the markets could have pushed higher on these lower interest rates, but they're not. And, looking at the weekly chart, starting to take on the looks of a, I don't know, you want to look at it that way, a bear flag after coming down like that. So does that mean this time, if it goes down like it did here, that the markets are going to rally big? My guess is no, because I don't think they're supposed to fall down that much. I think that's going to be, if it should start to drop like that, I think the implications are going to be bearish as to infer a slowing economy. But, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we analyze things by looking to the left, and there's a void here. So there's an unfilled gap, which it's in right there, and it's stabilized yesterday. But, this wide range bar, that's just got a void. So, things are trading like institutions, traders, kind of like as far as where these markets are going to go. It's just a bit of uncertainty for the moment. It's got to unfold. Right, so diamonds, there's a breakout and relatively deep retracement, kind of a lower high, lower low. It's not a pivot high because it's only one, two to the left, three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. When today starts, it's going to mark this as a pivot. It's going to do that. I come into the gap fill. Kind of a pseudo 1, 2, 3, but there's no void below. Pivots are right there. We're just dealing with a mess. But as I look at the weekly chart here, I've got a range expansion bar and an inside bar, and it broke the low, and that's a breakout bar failure. And while the next support is so close, it makes it difficult to drop in a larger way. If this doesn't rally up significantly by the end of the week, historically, this breakout bar failure pattern breaks support. Different pictures on different markets. Qs, an obvious breakout failure, wide range bar, missile bar kind of thing going up there, and a breakout and a failure. Top of the range. Again, more going nowhere. Just pop through these futures quick. Again, retracement up a little bit into the wide range bar. S&Ps sideways. The Russell, will it go? Will it go? It certainly looks like it should go, but it hasn't yet. And oil, I said early in the week, I want to see this, a little bit of follow through. And yesterday looked like it was going to be the day, and it gave it all back again. So again, we got a lot of going nowhere except for gold. That made the big move. And why is gold going up? Inflation? I don't know. I mean, we've had the inflation for so long and gold doing nothing. So I don't know why now. Anyway, silver popped up as well. Just the pattern building up there, and buyers coming in and giving it a big push. And Bitcoin is whipping back and forth here after a monster run. It's pretty normal to be doing that. What's I want to look at here? This looks the best. I mean, it's extended, unless for some reason this gives it up. XLF looks good, like it's going to continue. Xavier, I'm laughing, Xavier. I'm not laughing at you. When I say this, Dan might comment on it. I don't know because we've heard this a gazillion times. Xavier said, really considering signing up for your courses, just got to save up. And Xavier, we say that. I'm not saying if you don't have the money to do it, I get it. But over the years, we've heard time and time again, after I make some money out of the markets, I'm going to take your course, which is putting the cart before the horse. You know, it's like saying the doctor's going to say, hey, I'm going to do this heart surgery. And if it works out well and I get paid, I'll go to college. Anyway, energy holding up relatively well. Um, Even though gold, crude oil came in. So we'll see how it shapes up. There's just a lot of back and forth in the markets right now. And we'll see how the week ends. You can see technology there, the same breakout failure, and some semiconductors still, holding up pretty darn good, but extended. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, talking about semis. Looks like Nvidia just wants to go up every day. It's probably going to just float up to that $1,000 level is my guess. Yeah, it's extended, but there's zero reason to short this thing. That was an amazing gap. It's on fire. I remember Apple was the golden child, which has lost its luster, and now Nvidia is the new one. All right, I only have 2 alarms going off. Charlie Golf, I had my 47 alarm. We're long this. Looks great. ADT, we're long calls. This is not earnings. So I don't know what its problem is today. But we have long $6 calls. So it's most up 30-minute low. Let's go to earnings. Not too many. Last night was mostly junk. INFE junk. FSM, no pattern, opening flat. Visco, what is going on with Visco? Victoria's Secret. So I'm going to put this in my excessive gap category. Look at the volume going into earnings. Volume is just that. It's a lot of sellers, a lot of buyers. So, but it is a fact. There's a ton of people who are dumping in their earnings or shorting, you don't know which. But that's on the excessive gap list. Let's see here on YouTube asking about Cenex. Is it a bull flag? No, there's no flag. Well, there's not on the daily, not on the weekly. That's not a flag on the monthly, but I'd call that a buy setup after a wide range igniting. But that's the monthly chart. Weekly, I'm sorry, daily is just a vanilla breakout. ABS gapping down, $3 stock, no interest. Sub V gapping up here. This could be a 30-minute high trade. Not a gap's not excessive, so that's an ideal amount of gap. It's ideal. So now step 2 is put it in a window and let's see how it holds that little gap in the first 30 minutes. I'll do that. Vet, no pattern. Sylvine, garbage. Hunts, Yeah, this is little Jessica Alba's company. Hey, finally bottoming. Remember she came out, went public, looked like it was going to zero. That's a bottoming pattern on the monthly for old Miss Alba. That's a big gap, but too big. EHAB $9, bullish gap, but no pattern. Armenia. If this gap's over these highs, 312, yeah, it doesn't look like a big mover, but it could go up to 340. That's a nice 180 reversal. Next is a monster gap. Now, let's say hypothetically it opened at 6.25, then I'd be all over it. But now gap's too big. KGS, no pattern. That's weird. A gap and crap the day before earnings. Very, very unusual trading yesterday. Sierra Delta 1330. There's a bullish gap setup. I'll put that in the window. Sierra Delta. This gapping down 985, bearish gap, but it's pretty big. All right, here's the mornings. Kroger, gap's too big. I'd be selling in the strength. This one I posted as a put spread, gapping over an ugly red bar. So that's a shock. It's bullish weekly, monthly. So that I want to keep an eye on. Toro Company, I don't see any volume, but if it is gapping here to 95, then that looks good. I'll put that in a window. Bravo Julia, 7050 call spread idea. If there's any juice, Sienna. Uh, that's a big ugly gap down. Wow, that's gonna leave a nasty tail on the weekly with all that giving it up. AEO, another retailer. Gap's too big, but bullish as can be. Yeah. Billy, bearish gap, no pattern. Maybe M4350. That's a pro gap from a bottoming pattern. Well, let's watch that in the first 30 minutes. Wiley, I see a print up at 35, but there's no volume. We'll come back. 1380. That's bullish. Watch on a pullback. Steven, 2850, nasty gap. Ideally, it keeps going lower. Get the rubber band more extended. Yep, 2750, no pattern. PSFV, 30-minute high maybe. Vittle, it's could be a short-term exhaustion gap. That could be a day trade short. Gap down 18, MEI, bearish gap. Yeah, I've been watching futures. Yeah, it's one of my permanent thumbnails. It's that's been on fire. Bid up here doing nothing. This is a little Bitcoin miner. Fat was down, now up $10, no pattern. FCell did animal money, death trend, Biden stock. I guess those are all the earnings. Like I said, an EXC alarm go off. Now, Sam, this kind of looks like yours. So that 30, it's up here at the prior high, but this would be an ideal 30-minute high, EXC. So I will watch that. Both for a put spread and a directional. Uh, and that's it. I noticed of the fangs, Tesla was weak. It's been weak, so same old story. Apple rallied a little bit and gave it up here in the last few minutes. Look, wow, that's down a lot. And not the, the typical Wall Street buy the dip is not appearing right now. Microsoft, yeah, there's a day trade. There, that's beautiful 15-minute chart. So that, see what the market's doing, but 5-10 minute high, target 411 maybe, 410, whatever. That'd be a nice $4 or $5 gain. Big old bottoming pattern with a void. So I like that as a day trade a lot. Amazon, no pattern. Meta is morning strength at the high here. Netflix, nothing. And I got a ton of alarms. Damn. I just had like 8 alarms go off. And GTX was, and I'll just go through on my one. EQR is a 1, 2, 3. E-turn, this is a Sammy boy. Breakout, daily, weekly, monthly. Not doing anything right now, but I'm giving you my tier ones. See what it does in the first 30 minutes. Tick is roaring here over 12, almost 1300. Wow. Schwab. I had an up alarm on Schwab. All right, I had already tightened the stop, so let me just reset it. I'll reset it 68.90 now. It's 67.60. JCI alarm, nice. This is, see now, this is the, when you see one red bar, this is like a rising wedge. That's not stopping. So that's bullish price action. CRI alert.
DOX hasn't broken out yet, but worth putting in a thumbnail. It may not even move until tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. It's at the top of the range, but it's a downside shakeout pattern that's still forming. And it looks like 2 days ago was going to be a nice red bar ignored.
Cry. Oh, I posted this as a put spread. No, wait, didn't I forget? I posted one pre-marketed. Yeah, it was Cry. All right. Yeah, there's Cry. Don't cry. Don't cry, just buy.
RMD, I mentioned yesterday, gapped up pretty big. That's the
Wow. Yeah, I did see that one. Docs. Yeah. All right. Oh, IIPR alarm went off. All right, let's wait. Let's say over. No, my alarm was a penny early. The alarm is over 98. Expedia low alarm, Greg. Good for you. Relative weakness.
A minute.
Well, how come you didn't say anything?
You're watching.
Well, I just had an alarm go off. Yeah, I had an early alarm on IIPR, so I just reset it. WSM alarm, tan up alarm. Wow, we're short the 200 puts in this thing. That was an amazing trade. I was just could not understand why they were so juicy. Speeding them. All right. Okay.